Hey, everybody. We welcome you back to another episode of Gonzaga Nation. Christian Pedersen, Dan Dickau. It is summer, and that means absolutely nothing. We just keep creating content, even though it is not college basketball season. Part of that content is the mailbag edition of this podcast that we do once a week, where Dan Dickau opens up. We don't have physical mail. That would be fun if we had physical mail and people still sent those in. But we crack open the tweets and the emails and see what you guys want to know from Dan. You can get a hold of us at Fan Nation Zags on all the social media. You can get a hold of Dan at Dan Dickau21 on Twitter. You can also subscribe to us at Gonzaga Nation wherever you get your podcasts. Dan, 4th of July was this past week. Summer all year long is synonymous with barbecuing. So people want to know, like, what is the signature Dickau family barbecue? Are you the grill master? Is the wife the grill master? Have you pawned it off to some of the kids yet? What do you cook? What's the spread looking like?
Nah, barbecue, my wife can jump on there occasionally, but I love to grill in the summertime. That's something that almost every day we'll do a meal of some sort. We've got a Traeger grill, and then we've got one of those Blackstone griddles, so we can go in a number of different directions. Sometimes as a family, you just keep it simple and quick with hamburgers or just chicken. I've started with the Blackstone to try to figure out breakfast. So, that's eggs and omelets, that's pancakes, that's bacon. We've looked at that a little bit. Hash browns. That's the thing is you can do so many things at once on there. But the Traeger is something that I don't know if you can.
Traeger's a smoker, or is that just a regular grill?
It's a wood smoker, but I don't know if you can honestly ruin a meal on the Traeger. It's that easy, but it creates unbelievable flavor and does a great job cooking your meat, cooking your food. So, I mean, in the summertime, I've done up to 25-pound briskets before, where you smoke them overnight for 16 hours. You get that good bark on the outside and kind of that smoke ring. You got the baby back ribs where the meat's falling off the bone. That's another way that you make sure that you tell people what you're doing on the barbecue. There's a couple different ways that I'll go about doing the ribs. Sometimes you boil the ribs first to kind of get a lot of that fat out and kind of break the meat down, and then you smoke it after you season it for a number of hours, and with that you could put some barbecue sauce, where I make my own, where you kind of caramelize the barbecue sauce, or you can just have the barbecue sauce put on last.
Make your own barbecue. So are we saying that there is a line of Dan Dickau barbecue
sauce?
No,
that's not common. No, it's kind of tweak a few barbecue sauces here or there, add a few things, boil it all together, and then cool it down, and it
what
makes
is a Gonzaga branded pun that we could make for your barbecue sauce? We gotta think of that and Photoshop up a little label for one of these episodes. How can we get like an angry Mark Few on the bottle?
So I mean that's a couple of the barbecue things right there, the ribs and the brisket on that, and then on the Traeger, and then on the Blackstone you can do whatever. It's pretty
is a life changer for myself personally.
Yeah,
I got that. There was no better gift that I have ever been given. In terms of, just like you said, it cooks everything. A little bit of breakfast food, a little dinner, a little everything in between. Man, I'm just hungry now. I've lost all focus. I gotta call.
Yeah, I mean, we're recording this and it's almost lunchtime, so there's a good chance I fire that up and make lunch for the family real quick when we're done here.
Deal. Coming next week, we open up our own food podcast. Dan, next one we got, and again, you can get a hold of us at Fan Nation Zags and all the social media, is with the Gonzaga Hoop Fest just recently behind us. What is or are some of your best or good alumni stories or memories? Could be recent year. It just feels like there's probably something cool has happened with a Zag alumni in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga basketball program put together an alumni weekend in conjunction, well, not in conjunction with Spokane Hoop Fest, but the same weekend, because a lot of people will come into town with their families for Hoop Fest weekend, and a lot of guys that live here will be around. So it was a fun couple days. I wasn't involved with too much just because my son was playing Hoop Fest, so I wasn't able to break away and get to all the alumni events. But Coach Few and the staff put together a nice dinner for us former players. There was close to 50 guys there, I believe. We got some gear, we got autographed basketballs by the whole program, so we can some guys can have a little bit more kind of memorabilia for their own office or man cave, whatever you want to call it. They had Coach Few said some things. There was a video we watched, and then after that, some guys went to Jack and Dan's. It was too late for me that night. I'm not a 25-year-old recent college graduate, so I didn't do that. But the next day, there was a number of different things where, some of the current Gonzaga players played pickup with some former players. The strength coach put some of the old guys through a workout so they can see how things have evolved with training in the program. And then it was
always take it easy on the former guys, or does that turn into a competitive game real quick where things get taken too seriously too fast?
I didn't play. My son had I didn't play. I didn't even go to that one because my son
general, not just for this year, but does current versus alumni ever go peacefully, or is that always
oh no, it's always peaceful. I mean, guys are trying to play for their own sense of pride, and that's one of the reasons Gonzaga's program has been so good over the years. I mean, guys play to win. Guys play with pride as opposed to just showing up to play, which that will never be the approach to take. But after that open gym and workout session, it was another meal with the ZAG staff put together, and then also that weekend the Hoop Fest actually honored the Gonzaga basketball players in the program at center court on Sunday. I wasn't at that one either because my son was playing at that time. And then the weekend was wrapped up with, kind of an all program barbecue later that evening where guys from all eras came out and hung out. So all in all, it's one of those things where, they tried to get to as many guys there as they could. It was a good response by former players to come back, but with as many good players as they have now, whether it's guys playing professionally in Europe, guys playing in the pros, getting ready for summer league right after the draft, it's kind of one of those things where more guys would have liked to have been there than made it, but all in all, it was a good event, good weekend.
I'm also realizing now something, having asked you the question out loud on the podcast as opposed to in show prep. That question was written by somebody who is not one of Gonzaga's most famous alumni. So maybe your perspective is a little off, where I think that question was more just asking, like, you ever been in a cool room with a bunch of people? And you're just like, yeah, from my perspective, everyone else is and so I think it's kind of funny now listening to that. You're like, you are one of the people where everyone is hoping for the cool experience, yet you just get to live it. Last question we got. And again, you can find us on ZAG Fan Nation and Dan Dickau 21. Dan, people want to know, what are you binging right now? What's the show you're going to in your free time?
It's kind of one of those things where summertime is so busy, kids activities, family things, getting some projects done, in the early evening before it gets dark, when the day's done, you kind of want to just collapse onto the couch and watch something mindless on TV. Actually, just the other day, we watched Top Gun Maverick again. I had never seen it from start to finish. I thought it was a really good movie. Some of the go-tos, if you're actually talking binging a show like you mentioned, the middle is kind of an easy go-to for myself and our family. Kind of a lot of the storylines we can relate to as a family. So it's a great show for sure.
Deal. All I can come up with right now is wanting to watch Food Network because of our first question that we talked about. I just want to throw on some grilling episodes, and I've been distracted this whole podcast just Googling Traeger grills, and that is where I am headed after this podcast. So catch me in the Traeger aisle somewhere. Dan, thank you very much for another mailbag episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of Gonzaga Nation. Remember, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. If not, we will assume you are a St. Mary's fan. Till then, we'll talk to you guys later.